All right, welcome back. Okay, we have a very big guest in the studio. How do I start the introduction? Sports content provider, former editor of sports, everywhere. I mean, okay, we have a Kayode Tijani in the studio. I like this. Okay, I've lost ways to actually introduce you. Kayode Tijani, it's been a while. Good morning, and it's good to have you on the show.
Good morning. It's lovely to be here. It's a privilege, to see all the superstars.
The privilege is ours.
The biggest superstar is talking about other superstars.
It's a good day to have you, with us, and on a day when the AFCON is going to start, to have someone like you who, we can tap from his knowledge and a lot of things. But let's talk about the AFCON before we even look at the fixtures. Cast your mind back to what it used to be and what it is now. How far?
The Nations Cup.
Yes.
1963. Was the first, appearance for Nigeria. Then, it was a bad one because the national team at that time was not used to, what happened. Sudan beat us, Egypt beat us, and all. But gradually, you start looking at 1972. You start looking at in just a period of time, Nigeria started competing really for the Nations Cup. That dovetailed to the 1980 African Cup of Nations, which was not easy. We won it easily, sort of, but it was not really easy. Carrying that cup was a shock to everybody. President Agari was, as at that time, what is called football now was a straightforward thing. There's no all the disorganization, all the corruption stories, no. You had players who we grew up going to the camp, see Lyrica, see Muda, see all these guys, and they were very ready. As at that time, we are talking about the what's it called? The
1980.
Yeah, 1980. So as at that time, the league was so huge. Haile Salam Rocks, Rangers International. Really, this is really interesting. You find that most of the MQ Abiola, a lot of them were running clubs. MQ Abiola, we have him on tape talking about really driving his team in one of the African countries because NFA, according to him, was giving them stress, because they didn't want to go to one of them. So, but the one that makes a lot of sense more to us is that you have about 5 MQ Abiola, all these people were there.
Privately owned clubs.
Exactly.
Okay.
They pay salaries as at when due. If you want to go to the stadium to watch a game, then don't come at
you're not 12. Going to get in.
You're not going to get in. It's so simple. So things have changed. Look at that stadium now. It's a tragedy, really.
Okay.
And the same thing in Abuja. So these things are just, sometimes you won't talk about it, it's annoying.
Yeah, it is.
Let's
come back to the present, nice. Right? Okay? Let's come to the present.
You wanted the Olympics.
What's going to happen today? We can take a look at the fixtures, right? For today, Egypt will be facing Zimbabwe. As host nation, they are opening it. They're going to be facing Zimbabwe later today. And also for Super Eagles of Nigeria, their game is going. There you have it, the opening match, Egypt and Zimbabwe. For the Egyptian national team, they are one of the favorites for this, no doubt. They're hosting, and anytime they host, there's tendency that they're likely to win another. Maybe they have a superstar in their squad, Mo Salah. Zimbabwe are not a fancy side. Okay, another game again, DR Congo, and of course you have Uganda. They will also be in action today. Let's talk about the Egyptians now. What are we expecting from them? Can they get something good? Group B fixtures. Okay, you have Nigeria, Burundi, and Guinea and Madagascar.
You know what I wanted to start off with? We've seen four matches, 3 to be played tomorrow, 1 today. Let's start off by, since you talked about Egypt, to you, who are the favorites? I know you're going to give us an impartial and objective. We are Nigerians, it's hard not to see Nigeria as a favorite. But being dispassionate and objective, who are really favorites
for the Nations Cup?
Egypt.
You have to bring Egypt first. There's something about it, they are at home again. They have the kind of players you are not going to be celebrating so much. But when it comes to the nitty-gritty, you are dealing with people who can lay their lives for their team. And they are very organized, they are very strong. You look at Nigeria, you look at Iwobi, you look at these guys, they are not celebrating their own players like that. But when it comes to, like I said, the nitty-gritty, it's a different team. Very strong, very dangerous to deal with, really. Very, very dangerous. This competition is going to be really tight. Of course, a lot of people have said, Nigeria is still favorites. Yeah, favorite means nothing. You have to really, really practice it on the pitch. It's going to be really tough. They have the support. Their whole country is going to be buzzing. I remember this thing, when you host and you have the kind of team that they do have. I mean, I remember 1994 when it was just surreal. I'm telling you, the whole country was there, and that's what's going to happen to few of our players who are not really experienced. Is that that shock? They will be seeing a lot. They'll be seeing a lot of things for the first time in that regard.
But I know our focus is going to be on the Super Eagles and maybe later on the Super Falcons, but Senegal is Africa's top-ranked team. Do you consider them favorites?
Oh yeah, they are very strong too. You see, what is playing out is this: for the African Cup of Nations, all the style, all the kind of behaviors, players who are trained in France, it's different because you have come here knowing fully well that some people might get really hot because it's going to be a physical competition. It's going to be a very physical competition. A lot of players who play for Nigeria, who play in Europe, they are the targets. Because you see our last few games, and you see their last few games too. They are secured, what's it called, not just financially now, but the insurance is there, yeah, everything is there, so they are ready.
Injury, okay.
They are ready. So it's going to be a very interesting competition. It's going to be a very tough one. For Nigeria, everybody is really shouting, talking about Nigeria is even more dangerous because they expect almost too much
from Nigeria.
Now you mentioned European players. Those are playing in Europe. Maybe it's the major target. Now we understand that temperature is going to be as high as 35 to 38, and they're going to be having like 3 water breaks.
They are complaining about it now already.
So how much effect is going to be on some of these players?
A lot, because even before now, last week they were talking about food. The kind of food they are eating that is affecting them and things like that. But they will get by it. I mean, it's part of the trade. I mean, they are not the first person to want to go to a place that is very hot and all. They are not the first people who will go to the Nations Cup and have food problem and all. They will rectify all this. Okay. As the competition starts and continues, things will be put in place. The one we don't like, all the stories about corruption, about this and that, it's distracting. We do not need that. We want the football. That's what we are used to.
Just the football.
Just the football, and it's what the whole world is looking up to.
Okay.
So that's it.
Okay. Let's listen to one of the players that a lot is expected from at the Nations Cup. Talking about Odion Ighalo. He's talking about the Super Eagles. Saying that they're not bothered with the underdog tax, but nobody is calling the Super Eagles an underdog. I don't know where he got that from, but let's listen to him this morning, having his say about the Super Eagles.
Anything I do in life, I like people to take me as underdog, because I like to surprise people. I like to take people unaware. I like to lie low, to be humble, so that when I come out, people will be surprised. That's for me as a person, So it's very good. So you don't have to give the team more pressure. When the team have pressure of winning this, winning that, you start thinking of the final when you've not even played the first game. If anybody say the tournament is going to be easy, they're lying, because it's going to be tough. It's African. It's going to be hot. It's going to be difficult. But I believe in the team we have. We have what it takes to do well. Nigeria have a team, very good team that can play the semi-final and the final. But we're not going to get carried away. If you don't work in the pitch, it's difficult to have results. We have a team that can even win the trophy if we work hard and if we believe and if we give everything we have there in the pitch. Not saying that later, we have what it takes to win it. So, like I said, we don't want to get carried away and start speculating. Let's just start it from the first game to the second game, to the quarters, to the semi, then we see how it goes.
All right, that's Odion Ighalo having his say. We'll let Kayode tell us what he feels about all the things that he said, but I'm very sure no Nigerian agrees that Nigeria is an underdog going into the African Nations Cup. And Cecilia, there's some other players also reacting as well.
No, same Odion Ighalo also talking about Mikel, and everyone is talking about the influence Mikel is really having on the team. And from his own perspective, he says whenever Mikel is with the Super Eagles team, no team really wants to play Nigeria because they're really scared of Mikel Obi. Let's hear from him again.
He's our captain. He's a good leader. It's great to have him back. The motivation he brings to the team is top. He didn't play all the qualifiers. We did well without him, but him joining us now is a big plus, because no team in Africa that want to play Nigeria, you say Mikel is in the field, you're gonna get scared a bit because he has done great for club and country. He's a legend, and he can play. He's still fresh. He's still doing what he knows to do best. So it's a big plus for us, It's a good passer of the ball, which every striker would be happy to have in his side, So for me personally, I'm really happy he's back, and hopefully we can achieve what we want to achieve together.
Absolutely a big boost for him. Okay, Tijani, you have the floor now. What do you make of from the underdog and Mikel being a huge threat whenever he's with the Super Eagles of Nigeria?
Threat against
opponents and opposition.
Well, it depends on the opponent. I mean, there are some players, you see them in all the other teams. How can you say a threat? Odion, obviously, is a very interesting human being.
Yeah.
Absolutely lovely. I mean, he knows how to talk, he knows how to show. But it's a big part of what we need to do. He had a lot of challenges. A lot of people wouldn't know because of that time in which he was missing goals, he was not scoring. And when we are the last World Cup,
yeah.
that miss, they were making songs and all whatnot. But he's still there. He has a way of operating. Very calm guy. Very calm. I will need him. I grew up with the Yekinis. Well, before Yekini, anyway, Muda Lawas, Ochu, Jojuka was. Then as we grew up, you see all these players. Some of them you wouldn't even talk to. They are so downright arrogant and all. But there's something about Ighalo. After all those misses and they were doing all those things about it, he kept quiet. Then he replied with a lot of goals in those qualifiers and all. That's what you want to do. You don't want to take people as enemy. Show them what you can do. Yeah. And this competition, he must show, and he's a marked man. Like Salah, is they are going to mark him out to every way they can.
Now, him talking about Mikel, I mean, being a threat to the team, simply trying to get attention off himself.
Teams, opponents.
Yeah, to teams, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it's true. John Mikel Obi is Mikel Obi. I mean, you have them in every generation. I mean, the 94 squad, which I love most, which I travel with, is different because you have too many of them. You have Rashidi, you have so many of them. And, you begin to wonder what happened now because as at that time, we don't have all the stress of congesting the middle. You have Benidi crossing from the right, you have from the left, Munike, you have too many players. Right. And they were not too much ego until almost the end of their era where, let's leave all those out.
Okay, thank you for living it. Let's leave the Super Eagles of Nigeria now, whether they're favorites or not. We'll wait and see how far they will go and quickly talk about the FIFA Women's World Cup. We're starting with the game between Cameroon and New Zealand. So many, people that I know actually fasted and prayed for the Cameroonians, and the game between Cameroon and New Zealand ended in a draw. But then Cameroon won, and of course they are in the round of 16 for the second time. 2015, they were also the only African side that got that, but this time around Super Falcons are joining them. Netherlands and Canada, and they're 2-1. Sweden and USA taking a pound of flesh for what the Swedish team did to them one time ago at the Olympics. And Thailand and Chile. Chile needed 3 goals to, put the Super Falcons down and get a ticket, but somehow they just couldn't do it. A certain Lara missed a penalty, and that was the end of the story for both teams. They are going home. And so we have the round of, there you have the game between Cameroon and New Zealand, a sudden death. That was when they got that final goal, and it was Ajara who got that, and there were celebrations everywhere in Cameroon.